So let's start this video with a number, because we like numbers, don't we? This pretty number is how many people have gone into space as of September 2015, over 50 years after the first manned flight achieved by Yuri Gagarin. And among those people, 18 died in flight. So yeah, going into space is quite dangerous. Fun fact, your odds of surviving a space flight are about as high as those of surviving a car crash at 50 km per hour. Alright, enough with the danger. 24, this is the number of people that went out of low Earth orbit. As you might know, all of them went on or around the moon, and this is the farthest we've been yet. Meanwhile, we've sent probes to every planet of the solar system, plus Pluto, which is not a planet anymore.
Get over it.
Plus some asteroids and comets. We even sent 9 landers on Mars. Therefore, do we still need astronauts for space exploration? Let's take a look. Okay, first problem. Astronauts are way more expensive than robots. You might have heard of Curiosity, which is a rover sent on Mars in 2012 by NASA. It is still going on today and has a lifespan of about 5 or 6 years. This mission has cost $2.5 billion. On the other hand, sending humans on Mars would be much more expensive. The estimated cost varies quite a lot depending on who you're asking. But if we look at NASA's estimate, it is $100 billion. Yep, with that money we could send 40 Curiosity-like rovers. And that is way too many rovers for my head to handle, so I'm gonna go take a glass of water. I'll be back. So let's move on to another problem, which is maybe the most obvious. Sending humans pretty much anywhere is hard. Way harder than sending artificial probes or landers.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Let's once again take the example of Mars. In 1976, NASA successfully landed Viking 1, which was operational for 6 years. Now I'm sure you see where I'm heading with that, because 40 years later, we are still not able to send humans on Mars. Sure, we could be able to go there, but could we live there and come back? Here are some obstacles on long space journeys. Sun radiation exposure, build a big enough spacecraft, food supply, last but not least, energy supply. So let's move on to the next problem, which I already talked about. Going into space, and especially getting out of the atmosphere, is still very unsafe. As obviously nobody is going to cry over the death of a robot, is space traveling worth risking real human lives? So, from what we've seen so far, astronauts can seem like a pretty useless waste of effort. Right? Not so fast. It is time to come across one of the biggest problems with rovers. These machines tend to be really slow. Let's once again take a look at Curiosity, which is still, as of today, the most sophisticated rover. This magnificent piece of technology can go up to, I said up to, 0.09 km per hour. So although robots can stay there longer, humans easily compensate by being much faster.
We would be able to make discoveries at an extraordinary rate. It's estimated 10,000 times faster than our best robot spacecraft.
Right.
Now I hear you saying, astronauts are still crazy expensive, right? Or are they? So let's look at this scary number, 100 billion. This is actually a smaller amount than what cost the Apollo program if we adjust it to the inflation. Furthermore, this represents a mere 17% of the annual military budget of the United States. So one could argue it's more a matter of priorities than money. Though looking at NASA's budget, space exploration is not a priority anymore for the US. Now the point still stands, space exploration is dangerous. But can we really prevent willing people fully aware of the danger from going into space for that reason? Because if so, this would also apply to any dangerous sport or activity. Now let's end this video in a more anthropological point of view. Maybe we don't have to go into space, just like Roald Amundsen didn't have to go to the South Pole. But maybe, just like him, we should. See, astronauts are not only scientific tools, but also in a way the farthest extension of humanity, or perhaps even a redefinition of what we are. And also, it is likely that sooner or later, the human species will have to expand into space and learn to live elsewhere. In this case, manned missions like those on the International Space Station or an eventual Mars mission are only clunky but essential first steps into achieving this goal.